Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Terran News Network, your most trusted source in news in the Terran Republic. Tonight, during a press conference, outgoing President Vija Rome announced alongside President-elect Satisha Erickson that during a survey of 55 BOTUS, the exploration vessel TRSS Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Batut, under the command of Craig Phills, encountered a hostile alien species believed to be raiders, and proceeded to leave the system after sustaining heavy damage, including damage to its jump drive. During a separate survey, after having returned to Earth for repairs, the Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Batut encountered another alien species whose current intentions are unknown in the GL Virginis system. In other news, an unknown raider vessel, assumed to be related to those found in 55 BOTUS, attempted to approach Seti B1. However, thanks to the valiant efforts of Lieutenant Colonel Panji Bao and his 5th STO weapons team, they managed to destroy this vessel before it could cause any harm to the still developing colony. That is all for this special news report from Terra News Network, voted the most trusted source in news in the Terran Republic. If we're not talking about it, it's not important. Until next time. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Let's Play Aurora 4X C# 2.1. Let's go ahead and get my timer started. So last time, we ended up running into two aliens. One is an NPR, while the other is a raider. I believe there's only a single raider faction, period. They don't have, like planets or anything, I don't believe either. They're just raiders, They stick true to that. They can invade your stuff, however, if they feel so inclined, so maybe I'm wrong and they do actually have planets somewhere out there, but as far as I know, I don't think that's the case. But the other one we met out here in GL Virginis, who are currently using the flag of Guam as our sort of representation of their flag because reasons, they are an actual NPR. We don't really know much about them. Basically, as soon as our exploration ship detected them, it was enough time for us to react and be able to tell them, no, turn around and get the hell out of there. That wasn't the case, sadly, for the guy that ran into the raiders in 55 BOTUS. But they managed to escape, luckily. Let's go ahead and continue. We're going to do one-day ticks, just to try and minimize, potentially getting attacked. Because subpulses is basically where the game would cut if an event occurs that requires a pause. Okay, we have fully exploited the ruins on Mars. There is nothing left there for us to exploit. We will, I think, just go ahead and move those engineers to Alpha Centauri so they can help over there. So Mars, load up ground units. Unload all your ground units, come back. Oh, we didn't check to see what factories did we get during those ticks. Abandoned mines in Alpha Centauri. Oh, that was it. Okay. I thought there was another one, but apparently I was wrong about that. Okay, we got basic cloaking theory. Not that I necessarily expect us to actually use that. Another automated mine on Alpha Centauri. Oh, and Explorer 1 has completed its overhaul. Didn't realize they were doing an overhaul. I mean, granted, I have it set as, an automated thing for them to do, but I didn't realize they were doing one. We're going to go ahead and, I think, improve our ordnance production. Because as it stands right now, if we wanted to go and build missiles, we have 8,000 build points of ordnance. I don't know off the top of my head what the math is for this. If I wanted you to build 1, it has an item cost of 9. But I don't believe that is actually the cost to build it. So I don't know off the top of my head what the actual build cost is per. This another sort of complaint is that the game doesn't necessarily display some information that would be beneficial. So if I were to build this right now, it has a development cost of 530, but I believe that's actually just the research cost. Cost per missile of 11.24. Yeah, again, this is one of those cases of it would be so great if the game would display some of this information in a way that's usable. Because I don't know necessarily how much build production is required, or building points, I guess, rather, is required per missile. That would be very helpful information because that would determine whether or not I really need that ordnance production research. But as far as I know, I think it will be helpful. In the meantime, I need to figure out where to send Explorer 1. I think the first question is, where's Explorer 2? Well, Explorer 2 is in Wolf 359. So I think we're going to go ahead and have you explore out to the west again, which I think is what you were doing anyway. So go to Siceti, and you know what? Let's try a different jump gate, or a different jump point out of Siceti. Okay, the Marine, or the engineering group on Mars has been dropped off, and the ships have returned. You have completed what you were doing. Getting us the jump gate into 55 Bootis. Have the tug fleet drag you over to getting FL Virginis. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get that. So fleets, grab you, tractor any ship, fly them over here, release them. This looks like it's going to be an empty system, basically. Which, yeah, it's okay, I guess, if it's an empty system. What do we get? More fuel, maintenance supplies, more maintenance supplies. You have explored Wolf 359. How is your fuel? It's getting a little low, so how about you fly to Earth, resupply? I think you're close to your deployment time, aren't you? Yes, you have about 6 more months left on your deployment. So how about when you get to Earth, you begin overhaul, refuel, resupply. Jump point discovered, don't really care. It's not that important to me. And you go ahead and stabilize that jump point. And shortage of corundium on Earth, which we already know has been an issue. Our stockpile is out, and we do not produce nearly fast enough for our mines production. It's 120 per. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and Does the Naval Construction Yard need that? It does not, so I'm going to go ahead and move you down the queue and move the Naval Shipyard Complex up to the top and have you work on that instead for a little while as we try to rebuild our stockpile of corundium. Bunch of alien artifacts. Again, not exactly helpful. It's, a little bit of racial wealth, but that's about it. Go through jump point 1. Bernard star. This is a system with actual planets. So let's go ahead and take a gander at it. Only show me moons that have minerals. Don't bother showing me any asteroids. These are mostly small. The only exception would be Bernard star 7, but I don't think it's quite the right stuff for an NPR to be here. But we'll see. This could be an interesting place, however, to colonize, potentially. Depends on exactly how mineral rich it is. Okay, Earth already finished with this. Wonderful. How large is our exploration ship again? Because apparently I don't have any of these set up for our exploration ships. They are 40,000 tons each. So I'm going to tell you to continuously upgrade your capacity until you hit 40,000. What is needed for that, though, out of curiosity? Because I frankly do not recall. Knowingly, the game actually does not tell me that, so I do not know what is necessary for those. Well, hopefully you don't need corundium for it, because we don't have nearly enough. Unrest is increasing on Mars due to overcrowding. How much infrastructure do we have on Earth? We have 473, not nearly enough. We're going to go ahead and grab some off of Alpha Centauri. We pull this up on Mars. The supported population is 5.63 million, but they have a current population of 6.4 million. So they are relatively far over their supported. And that, of course, causes unrest. We could offset that to an extent by just plopping down more ground troops, technically speaking. But that's not a particularly great option. So I'm going to tell you to load up on this, fly back to Sol, go to Mars, unload all, repeat that. Repeat it twice. I think it should be fine. And then once you're all done, go to Earth, refuel and resupply. Interestingly, for whatever reason, unrest is not one of those that is considered important enough to pause the game. I don't know why it's like that. That's just the way it works, because reasons, I guess. Okay, dump those into the planetary sensors, dump one more into the ordnance production. So we get all those maxed out, and then missiles. I would absolutely love to get a 3-stage thermonuclear warhead, but that'll take far too long, and we also don't currently have any scientists available who are good at missiles and kinetic weapons. So I'd have to grab somebody who's not good at it. So instead, I think we're going to go ahead and get maximum engine power modifier. That will be somewhat helpful. A bunch of people just got medals. You just finished. Double check my maps again. We do not want to accidentally enter GL Virginis. That is one thing we need to avoid. But beyond that, it's perfectly fine. Also, check how Mars is doing. We've gotten you up to 5.88, but I think you guys are going to have to repeat these orders a little bit more, because I don't think 2 trips is going to cut it. And corundium shortage on Earth again. So, pause that for a little while. Until we build up a stockpile again. Okay, those guys... Yes, they completed their orders on Mars. That got you up to 6.5. There we go. That is better. Luna doesn't have the same issues for a variety of reasons, but the biggest one is quite simply that it got a shit ton more infrastructure on it. Also, I think it's just generally... Yeah, God, it's got 5,000 frickin' infrastructure. It has absolutely zero need for that much infrastructure. In the grand scheme of things. How close are you guys to getting to the oxygen levels you need? Pretty close. Of course, they're dumping more people off on Mars. I may need to turn off Mars as a destination for colonists, just so that the game stops dropping people off there. Because I really do not need the game dumping a bunch of colonists on Mars, causing unrest again. Now that I think about it, you know what we'll do? Earth. What is needed for infrastructure? Not corundium. Wonderful. Build me 1,000 infrastructure. And gotta drop that down. And then switch to infrastructure and tell that to go up twice, because if use of building capacity, can only be 100%, but telling one thing that's at 100% to go up in queue over something else that's also at 100% doesn't just have them trade places because reasons. Don't know how hard it would be to change it to a system that, it seems logical that if I have something that's being constructed at 100% build capacity, and I have something else that I want to have moved to the top now, that I would just be able to press up on Q and they would just trade places. We still need to build up Siceti, obviously, but getting these up will help speed this up. Because I think Alpha Centauri can be largely considered self-sufficient as far as I'm concerned at this point. We're not going to be doing much else with it at this point, because its whole purpose is just to mine, and in this case, uridium, which we don't really need. We've got quite a bit of a stockpile of uridium, or well, capacity in general, because Mars has 2 million of it. Also, I didn't realize Mars had 6 million calcite. With average-ish accessibility, because this goes from 0.1, I believe, up to 1. I don't believe you can have a 0.0 accessibility. But I could be wrong about that, but I know you can have a 1.0. The higher the number, obviously, the more accessible it is, means you get more production for the actual effort necessary. So, Earth here with an 0.88 of duranium, significantly easier. A single mine will produce more duranium than if Earth's accessibility of duranium was, say, 0.5. It's also one of the reasons why Earth will run out of materials relatively quickly, to an extent, compared to some of these other stuff. I mean, the carbonite on Mars, that's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's hard to get to. Luna, the iridium there, little hard to get to as well. And same with the boronite, although there's not a whole lot of that, so that's not going to last very long. Neutronium here in Venus, 0.1. We don't get a ton of it. Compare that to duranium, 0.9. We're getting like 10 times the production. Speaking of this, however, how many automated mines do you have? You have 2. Okay, well, I'm going to add 2 to your supply. Earth shouldn't have any. No, Earth still has 16. Okay. Edit your demand, and I'm going to plop you up to 18. Mars, how many do you have? You actually have 7. This should be what? 26? 25, I think, actually. Something like that. It doesn't really matter too much. If the number's a little off, I can adjust it if necessary. Yeah, Luna needs to deal with its worker shortage, but there's not much I can do about that. Because they're already basically at their cap. The only way I'd be able to improve it would be to give them a ton more infrastructure or improve the environment. So we don't need as much infrastructure, and so we get better bang for our buck per infrastructure. For a calculator, I think this was 200 at game start. It's down to 190 now, because we've improved the environment to an extent. It's technically still not breathable, but eventually it will be. There's our advanced gravitational sensors. Whenever we get around to building a brand new exploration ship, that will be helpful. Let's go ahead and I think dump points into research rate and shipbuilding. Those are going to be very helpful. Somebody got promoted. Who got promoted? Pablo Molino Nino. Or Molina Nino. Nino. You got promoted. What are you? Oh, you're the, you've been assigned as the commanding officer of the Akagi. Okay, well, yeah, have fun with that. I'm assuming the old guy died or something? Or retired, one of the two? Yes. Gwendolyn Hubush retired at 38 from being CEO of the Akagi. Let's switch to 5 days. Better planetary strength sensors, helpful. Let's get that up. Get that up. What is going to finish researching first? Ordnance production. That's, yep. Helpful. Okay, we've already finished with the infrastructure on Earth. What is our corundium stockpile? 3,000. Still don't think that's enough to finish the mines, but they'll get much further along at least. How's your fuel? 66%. Continue exploring. Factory restored. What was it this time? Another abandoned mine on Alpha Centauri. Terraforming report. We have completed terraforming of oxygen onto Luna. Again, still not breathable, technically speaking. So let's go ahead and pump up that nitrogen number to the 0.79 of Earth. And that should help us out. Temperature negative 32 degrees Celsius. I believe that has trended down. At least a little bit. Research completed, ordnance production, wonderful. Dump those into the maximum engine power modifier. That is more so useful for our ships. Particularly our fighters. Which we haven't really looked at, because we haven't had a real reason to go and observe them too much. Once we get into like an actual fleet fight of some sort, that's when we'll probably end up looking into those a lot more. In the meantime, do I want to go ahead and start researching the next generation of engine tech? I'm inclined to say yes. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and do that. Oh, did we... Oh, I didn't really... Okay, no, we actually finished both of those advanced things. I must have completely missed whichever one finished first. But yeah, let's go ahead and start researching the next generation engine. I think that is when we will... Yep, there we go. Starting to have that pop up periodically now. It's always a fun issue to have crop up. Alpha Centauri's environment changed. Why did Alpha Centauri's environment change, game? And which Alpha Centauri was it? A2 from barren to jungle, okay. But why? We haven't done anything there. Its environment should not have shifted like that. Yeah, you don't have terraforming stuff here. And I mean, sure, technically you have mines and they're presumably putting out, greenhouse gases and other things, but really? You shifted from barren to jungle now? That seems like such a weird shift. How do you go from barren to jungle? Practically overnight. That is a lot of nitrogen. Okay. I believe the way this works is that you can basically... I don't know if you need to actually have an installation there, though, to do this. We'll see. I'm going to basically tell it to go ahead and just dump out the nitrogen. But I think I might need a terraforming installation here for this to actually work. I've never really had a need to do it. I think that might be necessary. Also, that is a lot of water vapor as well. Like, even Earth doesn't have that much water vapor. Earth is 0.007. Water vapor here on Alpha Centauri A2 is 0.95. And tons of oxygen as well. Holy crap. And we'll want to get rid of the carbon dioxide, presumably at some point, but it's acceptable for now. What does it take to actually build, out of curiosity? I don't recall. Our terraforming stations, they are basically made out of some of our most abundant materials. So I think we're going to go ahead and build some more of those so we can go ahead and start terraforming multiple planets at once. How many do I have? I think it was 5 if I recall correctly, right? Yes, 5. So, TS Atten, build me 5 of these. But these, of course, actually use the same construction type as mines, so we are going to have to drop the mines down, tell the Attons to go up, and those should not take very long to finish. I assume that the error code that did pop up, I do want to note that it is probably related to the NPRs doing some funky shit, breaking things, basically. Because I can't say I've really done anything particularly out of the ordinary that would likely cause an error to get thrown. EX2 has completed its overhaul. You still need to refuel and resupply, but once you're done with that, we're going to ship you out. Did you actually do it? Because I've noticed sometimes you don't grab your maintenance supplies. Pull up galaxy map. Was there anything else in Wolf 359? Yes, there's an unexplored jump point. Go check it out. That was completed, and we just got better terraforming. Right on time. Get that. And while researching that, let's also go ahead and let's start researching better fusion reactor as well. That's going to take a while to finish because we only got two labs working on it right now. Go here, go to our unassigned space stations, grab these guys, attach them. Admittedly, there's not much of a reason to detach them because of the way this stuff works, but whatever, I've already done it. Tug Fleet, come to Sol. Go to Earth, refuel, resupply real quick first. Come here, grab these guys. Tractor any. Actually, no. Just come to Earth and refuel first. Then I will correct your orders. Yeah, you stay there. I should probably build another tug fleet, realistically. We'll do that at some point. Bunch of factories restored on Alpha Centauri. We got abandoned mine, construction factory, more infrastructure. The infrastructure doesn't hurt, of course, because it means I don't need to ship as much over there. Now, of course, I can also take from there. As for this, we could go ahead and continue researching better armor. It's not really necessary right now. I think our current one is more than sufficient for our needs. Okay, we've already maxed that out. Don't really care too much for better jump drives right now because my military ships don't use them, so it's sort of whatever. Let's go ahead and start getting research done on that 3-stage thermonuclear warhead, however. Okay, Tug Fleet has arrived. Then, now that you're here, you've completed your orders. I can give you your actual orders. Come here, tractor any, drop them off at Mars, repeat that 4 times. Then when you're done, refuel and resupply on Earth. And they're already done. Wonderful. Now to actually put these guys in a fleet, and this is the thing that I find annoying because of the way tugs work. When a tug grabs something, it brings it into the same fleet as the tug. And when the tug releases it, it doesn't plop it out into like the same fleet it was a part of or something new in the event that, you know, you have a another fleet with the same name, or it's not able to be dropped into the same fleet it was a part of because, of course, it's moved. And there's no system to be able to tell this is what I want the name of the new fleet to be, and every other thing that you tracked as part of these current orders, you would drop into that same new fleet. So I need to put these guys back into a fleet, but first I need to actually form a second terraforming fleet. But theoretically, if I really didn't want to deal with the micromanagement of tugs, I could literally build a ship that does terraforming. There's technically nothing stopping me from doing that. Okay. Because this is technically orbiting Earth, yes, of course. Anytime you build a new fleet, for whatever reason, the game has it orbit your capital. I don't know why it works that way. It's stupid, in my opinion. It should probably just not have any system that it's related to until you put something in it. That would make the most sense. So now we get rid of the fleets that no longer actually exist. And let's go ahead and get to work starting on the terraforming of Mars. First things first, I think we're going to go ahead and get the argon necessary, which is actually not too far off. Well, it kind of is, actually. You've already got a little bit of it, though. Oops, 0.0. Damn it. 0.01. Thank you. Oh, also, have you actually been dumping it? I was just curious. No, yeah, so I need to have an actual terraforming fleet. Go over Alpha Centauri. New star system. Oh, it looks like we got a new guy in charge of Explorer 2. Because they got a medal for it. Enhanced radiation warhead has been completed. Need to update this. I say this as if you guys can see what I'm updating. It's just the missile optimizer thing. Makes my life a bit easier. Advanced geosensors as well, of course. Forgot to update that. Yep, there it is. Again, I think it's, as I mentioned, I think it's the AI, or rather the NPRs as they're referred to, fucking something up on their end, causing it to that error to pop up periodically. At least here, it's only popping up periodically. I had another game where I basically abandoned it, a complete fresh reinstall of the game, in hopes it would fix it. Where literally just any tick, 5 seconds all the way up to 30 days, did not matter, would cause the issue to pop up every single time. It made playing that unbearable because I just could not do anything in a timely fashion. I was always needing to go back and tell it, yes, I understand, basically. As a general rule of thumb, they should have more than enough fuel to complete their orders. Okay, what are you doing? Well, for one, you didn't actually finish resupplying, so do that. But I also told you as soon as you were done with that, to fly back to Epsilon or Rindy and go through jump point 2. I don't know why you just decided not to actually do that. What do we got here? Any plan? Oh, okay, yep. Okay, so Pi Libre 1 has a very sizable max population potential. There could theoretically be an NPR here. There might not be, but there could be because that is a very sizable max population. Just want to double check what. Looks like here it was found on 5. That doesn't seem right whatsoever. That does not seem right whatsoever. What? Why is it? Oh, because you're dropping me off in the last fucking location it was found, weren't you? God damn it, game. I think these guys were found somewhere between 1 and 3. And I'm inclined to go with 2. 1, because it's the only one that seems to actually have anything going for it. So yeah, I think these guys were found on GL Virginis 2. Here, I was circling 3. This is also a very gas giant heavy place, which probably means tons of sorium. We're probably going to have to invade these guys, to be honest, because this is very useful. This is potentially very useful, if I want to be more accurate. Because there is an absolutely ludicrous amount of gas giants here, and those tend to have sorium in particular. And we need that. GL Virginis might end up just being a giant sort of fuel refinery system for us, potentially. Assuming that there is, in fact, a ton of sorium there. And the issue is I can't go out there and explore until I deal with the alien race. And lo and behold, yes, in fact, there is. And our ship was destroyed. Now, we have 14 days. Yes, that's right. 14 days to try and rescue them. That ain't happening. We have literally no capability of doing that. Yeah, if we're being honest here. But yes, there is an alien species out here in Pi Libre. Don't know much about them. We do happen to, however, know that they have a population here on Pi Libre 1. Were we able to discover anything about Pi Libre 1 before this happened? We were able to discover a bit about the moon, but not Pi Libre 1 itself. But it turns out I was right. Pi Libre does have a population. And so we have found NPR number 2. I believe the game's default settings have 3, and I believe I mentioned in the first episode, I forgot to adjust those. That's why we have a 1000 system galaxy. We're not going to explore all of that, I can tell you that right now. But yes, there is yet another NPR, and we were not able to discover anything about any ships. It's possible there wasn't. It might have just been an STO down on the ground that just absolutely fucking nuked us. We really probably shouldn't consider them neutral, considering that they did literally fire on us. But, you know, if a ship just kind of pops up over one of your planets and you have a means of shooting it down, you're probably going to shoot it down instead of waiting to see if it does anything. If we're being real here. So let's go ahead and look into building ourselves a diplomacy ship. Pi Libre, if they don't have ships in orbit of that planet, is probably the only one where we'd actually be able to do anything. So we're going to name these after Finnish presidents for the ship class, and we're not going to give each individual one a unique name. They're going to be the name of the class followed by a number, because it doesn't really matter. These are commercial ships. We're going to want to keep them as commercial ships. Which means I'm going to need to put a commercial jump drive on them. Or secure a passage. How far away is Pi Libre? It's actually not that far away. Also, I should remember to military restrict that just to be on the safe side, and we're also going to military restrict Epsilon Arendi, again, just to be on the safe side. Basically, any NPR system or a system where we've encountered hostiles +1. Seems like a reasonable approach, I think. Okay, so if I wanted to move jump ships into position, I would need to go to 61 Hydra, Bernard Star, Epsilon. You know what? Yeah, we're going to do that. Screw it. We're going to do it the slow way. And it is slow because it's 180 days per side of the jump point. So, tractor this guy, release here. Once that's done, we'll issue new orders. In the meantime, let's start looking into you. So, question is, how large do I want you to be? Well, I want you to be fairly fast. I'm going to give you a maximum desired tonnage of, say, 40,000. I'm going to say I want your max speed to be... Oops. There we go. The fastest we've seen an enemy vessel move would be those back at GL Virginis, and they were like 8,000 some odd. Can I possibly get you to do 9,000? I don't think I can. If I'm being honest, I really do not think it'll be possible. It's probably going to tell me, no, you can't do that. But give it a shot. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. That would be correct. There is no feasible means of doing this, but also, kind of told you a ludicrous amount of range. 100 billion kilometers, probably don't really need that. Can you do 100? No, sadly you can't. Okay. Engines, what do I have? Well, in terms of commercial engines, we have not designed any new ones. Well, we have, actually. I just haven't actually used them. Still gotta actually research them. And I don't think these actually have the fancy... Yeah, I don't believe these actually have the better fuel efficiency. I could be wrong about that, though. Let's double check that real quick. Put you at 0.6. But like I said, I do not believe you guys have the fuel efficiency. No, you do. Okay. Okay, I wasn't sure about that. This is a case where I am actually going to go ahead and say, yes, I want the thermal reduction on a commercial engine. Generally, I wouldn't do that. This is a case where I think it's potentially helpful. Because I need to keep this thing relatively hidden. So this gets the thermal signature down to 218. Question is, how fuel efficient do I want you? Because I could dump this down very, very low, 20% engine power. Very fuel efficient. Not a whole lot of actual engine power, of course, however, at only 250. And for it to be a commercial drive, or a commercial engine, needs to be engine power 50% or less. And then I believe it's 25 is the minimum engine size. Yes, that would be correct. So let's prototype this. And we will say, yeah, that doesn't quite cut it, does it? How close are we to the next ones? About another year out. It's not what I'm looking for. Well, I say a year, it's like 6 years, or not 6 years, so what, 6, 9 months, something like that? Somewhere in that range. Okay, so let's go with 2 of these for now. Fuel storage, let's give you a single very large. Gives you a ludicrous amount of time out there in space. You already have a diplomacy module. Can I give you an ECM without you being military? No, okay. Kind of figured that'd be the case. Figured I'd take a chance, though. Maybe I was wrong. Okay. Now, I could give you armor. It's not strictly necessary, but I could do it. Maintenance storage. Small doesn't quite cut it, but normal is a little too large. There we go, that works better. So that gets you to 5,123. What if I told you I wanted this to be, 20,006? No, you still don't think that's possible? I'm a little shocked that you don't think that's possible. I really am. Because it very clearly is. But, hey-o game, if you don't think it's possible, be my guest. Again, I very much think you're wrong. Or not game, but, this program, the missile optimizer works significantly better than the ship optimizer, I want to note, because it's very clearly possible for me to have a 20,000 ton-ish ship, commercial engine, and 5,000 kilometers a second speed, and over 300 billion kilometers desired range. But, yeah, if it for some reason thinks it's just not possible, be my guest. Be my guest. It's wrong. Very much so. Although the reality is it is a planet, it probably has a deep space tracking station, so this probably doesn't really make a big difference. In reality. Because it's probably still going to get picked up on active sensors anyway. Oh. No, wait. Yeah, those don't have active sensors, actually, now that I think about it, if I recall correctly. Yeah, they don't actually, no, they don't have active sensors. They rely purely on EM and thermal. The thing that has active would be the STO that is presumably there, because we didn't seem to indicate that there was a ship or a station or anything like that, because that would have been noted in here as a known ship class. We would have technically picked up the ship at least. And presumably before we got to the planet, so... No, yeah, those Geodrive ones will work. We'll go with 4 of those, I think. Yeah, 4 of those. And then we just fill out the fuel, I think, until you're a nice even number to work with. Because I do not like dealing with odd numbers. Whoops, no, not the fighters. Standard. Small. Tiny. And then 2 fighters. So, 25,000 tons, max speed 5,000 kilometers a second. It has ludicrous amount of endurance time at 1,530 days. And it uses a captain. It actually requires a more experienced person than even our carrier. That's just because of the diplomacy module kicking it up. Otherwise, it'd be a lieutenant commander. Even lower than the carrier, technically. I could give you a commercial damage control if I redo the fuel storage, but I don't think that really matters. Well, actually, I suppose it is helpful. But we're not going to do that. Oh, I think I removed the thermal sensors. Whoops. Get rid of that. So we're going to go ahead and research those. And you know what? Nah, never mind. You will keep the non-thermal reduction ones. Who's going to be finishing up first? Maximum engine power will. Wonderful. That's not helpful in this scenario because I wouldn't want to increase the power. I wouldn't be able to do that anyway, though. I do need to, however, as a result of this, because I don't want to be dealing too much with micromanaging. Of shipyards and retooling, we're going to build a new commercial shipyard for that. And so we're going to go ahead and check out there in the future. It's going to have to wait a little while. Probably going to be a few parts before we actually get around. Especially because it's going to be a while to get those jump points stabilized. I suppose in theory there wasn't much of a reason to actually do that because by the time we actually get around to building the ship, we should have the magnetoplasma drive. But whatever, we'll research that anyway on the off chance we don't, and I can just obsolete and replace the components if necessary. Mars is at the argon requirements necessary, wonderful. What was Luna doing with the nitrogen? Still a long, long ways out. But you work on the oxygen now, huh? 0.2. Somebody got promoted, I assume, because somebody retired. Usually the case. And that should, I think, be enough corundium, rather, to do that. For you to finish those mines, finally. At a 10,000 capacity, you will finish that February of next year. Wonderful. And you have finished your exploration here, and you still have plenty of fuel, so go through jump point 2. This is a very barren system. Unrest is increasing on Mars due to overcrowding. They have yet again. Yeah, Mars, I'm going to set you as a... Where is it? Damn it, that's not what I want, but I don't want you to be a destination for colonists, but I don't know what the minimum population requirement is for you to stop being a destination. It might be 10 million for all I know. And if it is, that's annoying. But that could be the case. So we're going to have to just go ahead and move even more stuff. Who has infrastructure to spare? Well, I know Earth does, because we built 1,000 of it recently. If I can find it, here it is. But I think we will do this the old-fashioned way. I'm going to ship you 300 more. Instead of me micromanaging this. Actually sending it there myself. We'll just let the civilian population deal with it. They should be able to take care of it without too much of a problem. But it might take them a little while to actually shift to it. But that's fine. It's not going to drop down all that quickly. Due in part to us having a garrison division and, their requisite regiments under it. So I don't have to worry too much. I do need to update this, however. Because max engine power should be 3 now. As you see there, that would help speed up our missiles if I were to actually design this missile as it currently exists. But we're not going to be designing that missile right now. What do I want to get? Let's go for, I think... shipyard operations. That way you retool faster. That'll help us out when we inevitably do have to actually micromanage retooling. I hope to avoid that as much as physically possible, because it is not exactly a fun process of jumping around retooling shipyards after they complete one production order, switching them to something else, having them work on that production order, etc., etc. It's not a fun process whatsoever. Make sure you guys all do have... You don't have a planetary governor. I forgot to apparently tell you to have one. Terraforming will be your #1 priority, followed by mining and then wealth creation. I think for you it'll be a very similar thing. Terraforming, mining, wealth creation. Don't worry about growing the population, because the Earth has more than enough unemployed people for us to have the civilian freighters ship around for us. So, for now, I don't need the planets to actually grow naturally themselves. Technically, Luna's population is actually going down. annually, even though they are slightly under their cap. But I assume that is because they're so close. Yeah, they're basically hugging their cap, so it's a case of they can grow and then have issues, or they can just not grow and then not have issues, but then they need to grow back up again in the future. Why do you have an engineer? Oh, yes, no, because I technically did just sort of for RP give you guys an actual military unit. One that we would actually deploy for invading other worlds, which I fully expect to crumble under any real resistance. It's not super well designed, but hey, it would work for RP reasons if we go that route. Let's go for colonization cost reduction again. Doesn't cost that much. At a little under 9,000. Or excuse me, a little over 9,000. Nope, looking at the wrong thing. 20,000 rather, so about 4 years. That's fine. Technically my timer would have already gone off by now, but I wanted to let a little bit more time pass by. There we go. Earth has finished all of its production. It has nothing else to produce right now. How's our research going? This would be finishing in June. Yeah, we're gonna leave that be. Also, I need to make a note for myself. Who was the dude who died in charge of, you were probably... God fucking damn, we have way too many lieutenant commanders, and I don't have a way of sorting this. Or rather, filtering. Which is the most annoying. Well, I say the most annoying. It is fairly annoying. I need to find somebody who was killed in combat. Here we go. It was Juliana Ignacio. Yes. Right? Yeah, you were on the Ebel Tasman, which that it was the one destroyed, correct? Because we still have the X2. Yeah, okay, yes. And since you were killed in naval combat, that would make the most sense that that was you. That's why sometimes I should probably have like a notepad just filled with a lot of this stuff, really. But yeah, because all these other guys are honorable discharges, so I'm gonna go ahead and make a note of that because I'll need it for story time for next part. But that'll be it for this part. So I'll see you all next time, where we will be sort of building up to be able to try and make actual contact with the aliens in Pi Libre. Getting that right? Yeah, Pi Libre. And that killed Juliana Ignacio. Just to see if we can talk to him. If not, then obviously we will fall back to the other strategy of communication, invasion. But at the very least, I want to attempt communication because they do not seem to have any ships in orbit of that planet. So we, in theory, actually have an opportunity to potentially communicate. If they had ships in particular, then we probably wouldn't be able to do anything. Now the question actually becomes, to some extent, do I have any commander, any naval officers who are any good at diplomacy? I've got a couple that are decent, 30%. That's not too bad. I believe this only goes up to 100. You'll basically never see anybody who actually has like 100 on any one stat or something, I believe. But I believe that's how that works. Is that these range basically from 0, in which case you don't see it, to 100, in which case they are a genius at that thing. But until then, you don't get anything. Oh, apparently some of our commands don't have people in charge of them. I need to correct that real quick. Automated assignments, yes, for all of these. They should all be automated assignments. I thought I clicked that for everything, but apparently I didn't. Now that should correct some of our issues. Especially in the case of the terraforming guys. They didn't have somebody there who has, actual terraforming stats. What is your terraforming? 15%. Yeah, that's helpful. To a degree. But okay, now that's all done. I will see you all... Oops. Damn mouse. I'll see you all next time, where we will, like I said, be building up our first attempt at, contact with an alien species. All the other ones have been run away, basically. But this time we will actually attempt to communicate. Like I said, if that doesn't work, we will, of course, be probably moving to invade. But that'll be a decision made in the future. But until next time, goodbye and farewell.